Welcome back to another edition of the Educational AD Podcast. We couldn't do these without the incredible support of our sponsors, and we want to start by saying thank you to all of them. First, thanks to our diamond sponsor, Varsity Brands, including VSN, Varsity Spirit, and Herff Jones. Varsity Brands, elevating student experiences in sport, spirit, and achievement. We also want to say thank you to our platinum sponsors, including Ephesus Lighting, innovating a brighter future at every level. Gilman Gear, always a step ahead. Camp Mobile, where teams communicate better. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. Vital Signs, bring student achievements to life. And Gipper, sports graphics made incredibly simple. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is Marion House. Marion is a certified athletic administrator, and she's the Assistant AD and Activities Director for the Nixa Public Schools in Nixa, Missouri. Marion, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. Always great to hear from the Midwest, find out what's going on. Well, as you know, it's a busy time for athletic directors, so we're going to jump right into it. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school and college, and maybe how your love of sports led to that first teaching and coaching job.
Very good. Yes. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and I started school in Lawson, Missouri, just a small town north of Kansas City, and really enjoyed my time there. But I went to school. It sounds kind of strange, but I went to school for PE and for recess because I love to play. I love to just anything to do with athletics. That's what I did. I'm the middle of three kids, and my mom and dad were always very encouraging to me. They always made sure that they got me in the softball leagues or whatever at a very young age, and rode motorcycles. Started the moment I could get the wheels off my bike, then I was right on a motorcycle. And I felt like that was, every Sunday we were at the races and with my dad and my mom, and it was a lot of fun. So that's just kind of the beginning of my love for all sports. And then I just remember learning how to do my first layup in like fourth grade with the PE ball or PE kickball, and Coach Luttrell in Lawson, Missouri teaching me that. And that was just like a light bulb of, this is awesome. And I'm going to continue, to go to school. I, of course, go to school, but, the PE teachers were always very influential in my life. So moved to Eldon, Missouri, about the middle of my sixth grade year, and had the opportunity to have my middle school PE teacher is Ann Golshin. Back then it was Ann Luchtemeier, and she's pivotal in my life as far as how she encouraged us. And I wanted to be like her when I, went to college. And so, yes, it was a great time all through junior high and high school. I was a three-sport athlete: volleyball, basketball, and track. As part of student council. It was just always so busy. I was in the band up to my senior year, which I felt like that is super important to be, through the co-curricular things that we're able to do through school. But that is, I felt like, really gave me that good background. Had an opportunity to go in and go to Missouri Southern State University now and played volleyball. Pat Lapira was an awesome teacher and coach, professor. And so had a chance to play college volleyball, had an opportunity to be a student assistant, my half of a year finishing up my degree at Missouri Southern. And then I had an opportunity to start teaching at Ava, Missouri, which is a very small town.
Yep.
Learned a lot there. had an opportunity to be the head volleyball, assistant basketball, and head track coaches. And that was my life. And everything that I had growing up, I wanted to give back to the students. And I feel like I was able to do that. I made a lot of great friends there. Larry Sylvie is the AD there, or the former AD, and he was very influential. What a great mentor I had. And Ann Leonard was a middle school PE teacher and coach, and valuable lessons. Had the opportunity to move on. Married my husband 21 years ago. Had a chance to meet him when I was getting my educational administration degree and at Missouri State, and had an opportunity to meet him, and ended up moving to Nixa, Missouri, where I've been for the last 21 years. So I've only been in 2 schools, but I feel like both schools were, you know, an awesome place for me to be. And I kind of feel like that was my calling. So
I really appreciate you sharing, you know, those mentors. They're just so critical for all of us, the high school teachers and coaches. And then, you know, for those of us that went on and competed collegiately, they just, you know, I use the expression, you know, I hear their voice in the things that I say, you know, every day when I'm working with kids or coaches. Also, you know, for our listeners, we were sharing before we started, I spent some time, just a few years in Missouri coaching collegiately. And so all those small towns that Marion was mentioning, you know, I've driven through and sometimes stopped in those towns. So a great little flashback for me. Marion, talk about the transition from teacher coach to athletic director, and, you know, maybe how that happened, and maybe some of the surprises or exciting things that, you know, you've got to experience as an AD.
Sure. When I was in Ava, being that varsity level coach at the high school, you know, that was what I needed at that time. And then after meeting my husband, and we knew we wanted to start a family, that's when I came to Nixa, and I was able to be that middle school, you know, volleyball coach and track coach, and just bring things to the junior high level, and actually treat it like the varsity teams that I coached, and just bring that to the junior high. And I mean, that's one of those things that I often will say in our AD meetings and things, that it's like a dirty word to say it's just junior high, because in my opinion, and all the people that I work with, you know, the junior high is that stepping stone that's so important. But had an opportunity to start teaching in Nixa, and I had just finished up my master's degree, and then had an opportunity to start working in as at the beginning an AD, just, you know, 4 hours a day, or, you know, it's just a stipend situation. And all of a sudden then they needed the assistant principal. So I had actually served in that role for several years as the girls assistant principal for our school, and also the athletic director and activities director for the junior high. Had the opportunity through a wonderful superintendent, Dr. Stephen Kleinsmith. He was always so good to be that forward thinker, and having some great ideas, come and talk to you and say, hey, these are the things I think that you should try to do, and get us out there in those situations. And then in public, he would say, wasn't that awesome? Marion House did all of this. And it was actually, you know, he is the brainchild of a lot of these things, but had the opportunity to move full-time into administration. And with that, it was difficult, because I had the assistant principal, and that was the have to, you know, that moment, you know, deal with the discipline and the students and parents. But then I was able to do my athletic director and activities director's job probably more in the evenings at night. So when I had the opportunity, Brandon Clark is our AD for the district. I'm his assistant. We had the opportunity to start presenting, how about a middle school assistant athletic director and the assistant to the high school. So that's what I was able to be moved into, where I'm not the assistant principal anymore. I still supervise teachers, but I just have had that opportunity to finally just be an athletic and activities director for the last 3 years. And let me tell you, it's like living a dream. You know, that's, if I wasn't being the athletic and activities director, and just being a PE teacher, I think that would be very difficult because athletics has always been such a big part of my life. And it's just like, I've never come to work any day and thought, oh, I have to go to work. I've loved every moment of it. So plan on doing this until I have those moments of, maybe it's time to move on. But at this particular time, 28th year in education, I still love what I do every day. Having a chance to deal with the students and the coaches and the activities. And so it's been wonderful.
I think it's so great that, you talked about, from the coaching standpoint, coach the middle school or the junior high like a varsity program. And then now, that's your primary oversight. I think if you look at those programs at the varsity level that are successful year after year after year, very often there's somebody down at that middle school program, whatever the sport, that's been coaching, 15, 20, even 30 years, and they just keep cranking out those fundamentally developed kids that know how to compete, they know how to play. And I think the varsity coaches and programs that understand that are just so far ahead of the game. And, for me, I'm excited. My career, I started as a middle school teacher, middle school coach, and, I love that age group. And now I'm fortunate enough to be a part of the middle school LTI course as well. So good for you. Let's talk a little bit about COVID. We've certainly seen its impact starting last spring and continuing this year. And we've seen a variety of responses. Some states, it's business as usual. Others, have completely canceled seasons or moved seasons around. In my own state of Florida, we delayed for a month. And now we're, some schools have restarted. My school, we're in week 8 academically, week 4 for football. But there's still schools in other parts of the state that are just now getting back on campus. So we know the response is different. So my question is, what's happening right now in Missouri? What's happening in your school district with regards to return to school as well as return to play?
We, Brandon Clark and I have worked very close with the Missouri State High School Activities and Athletic Association, and with the Southwest Missouri Activities and Athletic Directors. We would Zoom practically once a week through the COVID time. It was decided for our state that depending upon your local region, if your town and if your city is able to, be able to come back and go to school and not have those restrictions, then as a school district, then we had that opportunity to make our own choice. So we actually had the moment that school was actually officially out, because we went on spring break just like everyone else and did not get to come back. And so the moment that school was actually out, we were at a place where we were with careful planning, we were able to start the workouts with our students. Again, we would only bring in so many students at a time. We would take temperatures. We were masking. We were being very deliberate with knowing who is in what group. So that way, if we did have the quarantine, we already had those plans in place, and we already knew exactly who had for that for that tracing element. But so we've actually been working out all summer, again, very, very dedicated to making sure that we have that plan and we all followed it. So now we started our sports on time. Our school was able to come back. We could either go virtually, or you were able to go to, be able to come in. And I feel like as a district, we've done a great job sticking together and everybody having that plan, and the school board trusting us enough to implement that plan every day. And it's like the new unfortunate normal with COVID. We, if you get on a bus, we know what seat you sat in, and we do our best to social distance. And when we travel to our athletic events, but that's something that we've been able to play. And actually, this is the very first game for us as a junior high. Our 8th grade football team is going to have to wait this week and not play, because the team that we were going to be playing is not able to play at the moment. So we just pushed that to the end of our schedule. And so at this moment, knock on wood, every day that we have the opportunity to play, we feel like it is a success. And so that's pretty much how we've really pushed through. We actually, as a school, bought foggers, and that's how we fog our equipment when the kids are finished with practices and so on. We actually even bought a great big ultraviolet ray. It's something that's like new technology. We're actually on the news about it. We rolled this ultraviolet contraption into a classroom that maybe would have been, had a problem with somebody being sick in it, and it would flash lights for 15 minutes. And that's supposed to completely kill any COVID or anything else that possibly would have been in that classroom. So again, as a district, I feel like we work together with our conference and with our state. And so we're able to do a lot. It's not business as usual. It's business as the unfortunate new usual with COVID. So.
Well, again, continued good luck, as you, get into your season. And, your comment there about the foggers and the ultraviolet light, that kind of leads me into my next question. That's a great CMAA project. So I want I want you to share with our listeners, your journey with your state association and with the NIAAA, and maybe talk about not just the end product certification, but the journey, the LTI courses and how those, may have helped you do your job better.
Absolutely. And I felt like that's been very important. I've always enjoyed going to the NIAAA conferences, our state conferences. We would go, several people from our conference would also go, and we always felt like that was wonderful, because then we would be able to network even more and bring those ideas back. But very early in my career as an athletic and activities director, I started going to the NIAAA conferences, and it started the LTI classes as well. And that was important, because I had an opportunity to go back and get my specialist at Lindenwood, but I also wanted to have my CAA. And so took all the classes, learned a lot. Our school was very supportive of myself and Brandon Clark, the district AD. We worked together, we would take the same classes, and then we were able to bring that information back to our school and to our conference. And that's been very important. So we have our CAA, and we are just a step away from our CMAA. So we continued, in the new world of virtual classes, doing things online, that's been wonderful. Breaking it up into two different days, I think that's a great way for the NIAAA to continue with the classes. But I actually, this last year, I was fortunate enough to be asked to be on the 5th Strategic Planning Committee for the NIAAA. I was very honored to be asked, and so I had that chance this last year to go to Indiana, and we networked and brought up a plan, put together our strategic plan. And then when we went to our national conferences last year, then we met again and just finished some things up, just making sure that we had our plan as we wanted, because that'll actually start in 2021. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's I'm glad you shared that. As for our younger ADs, you need to, first get involved at your local level, and then the state. And if you want to, there's a committee out there at the NIAAA for you to get involved with. I was fortunate enough to be asked to get involved with certification many years ago, and now this coming December I'll be rolling off that committee. But it's just been a great experience. So as Marion said, get involved and give back to the organizations that have helped you grow. Let's lighten things up a little bit. I ask our ADs, what's your favorite part of the job? And of course, we all say, seeing the kids and the relationships with the kids, as it should be. But beyond that, what are some of your favorite aspects of being the athletic director at Nixa? What gets you excited about coming to school each day?
Just working so hard with our coaches to make it a good experience for our kids. that is something that, like you said, that it's cliche to say, yes, it's all about the students. It is absolutely about the students. And I want to be that light every time somebody walks through the door. Even if I'm not even really feeling it at that morning, I'm still going to say, good morning. It's so good to see you. And I think that that's super important. And I think that that is something I feel like I can give back to kids. You know, through COVID, it was so hard because the kids aren't coming to school, or if they have to just be virtual. And I just know how important school is, and how some students, that might be the only, you know, love that they're being shown, you know, by a teacher saying, hey, you know, we're so glad to see you, and, you know, here's your lunch, and being able to eat. And I know that I know that that's very tough for students right now. And I think that that is super important for me, just to continue that interaction. As far as being in the position that I'm in, and being able to attend all the activities that I have been able to attend, I think that that's also important. And I hope that students can see how involved I am with school, and how involved I am in their life, and hopefully be able to give that back in whatever way that they choose, you know, in their career. I want them to look back and think, you know, she really cared about me. And even just that one simple word of saying, wow, you know, that, you know, just walking by lunch duty and seeing somebody that's drawn a really neat picture, you can say, wow, you are a talented artist. And you could really go places. That might be the light bulb that student needed, that encouragement for them to go on and to, you know, maybe pursue that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, when you build that kid up, you know, their smile back at you, or their thank you, that builds you up. I think that's, you know, one of the best things about our job is, I don't think there's another profession that allows the number of interactions that we get each day. So great stuff. Marion, you've been at Nixa now for a few years. What's something that, you know, that you have at your school that you feel you guys really knock it out of the park, that you're the best in Missouri at doing this one thing? It might be with kids or coaches or teams or parents or something, but, you know, what's something that you're particularly proud of with your program?
I feel probably the most proud because we are so well-rounded. It's not just about athletics. You know, we have a very competitive band and choir. Our debate team at the high school has made it to the national level. I mean, as a whole, all of the extracurricular and co-curricular activities, I just think, you know, that the emerging sports and activities, our fishing team, we had actually my son and his partner were able to qualify for the national tournament. And it's not just about the sports, it's about the entire focus on the whole student. It's not just being, you know, a basketball player. Are you going to be in the band? Are you going to be in the choir? Are you going to put an art project in, you know, for competitions, and try to move on through the district and state? And so just being well-rounded, I feel like that. And I hope that our coaches and our parents and our kids feel the same way, that we support everything about our school. And I think that sometimes you can go to a school and then they might just have a really good athletic program or band or whatever. As a whole, I think that we have a great group of coaches and directors that all work together for that one cause, you know, that one common goal of being the best that we can be for our community and for our students.
Right. No, and again, I just think that's so important to share. And frequently schools like yours that are well-rounded, oh, by the way, they have some pretty darn good teams too. So it's kind of a byproduct of doing things the right way. Well, Marion, I appreciate you sharing all this great information, but we're not done yet. We always like to wrap up with what we call the athletic director's toolbox. I've already mentioned you are an experienced athletic director, but now I'm going to challenge you with sending out a brand new AD on their very first job. But I'm only going to let you put 3 things in their toolbox. What 3 items are going to go in Marion's athletic director toolbox?
I think the first would be so many times as athletic directors, we want to be in control of everything. And I think that working as a team and being able to delegate all the different roles that we have, all the different responsibilities. You know, we have wonderful coaches and assistants and directors. And I feel like that rather than be that one person that has to have control of everything, you have to be able to trust the people that you work with. You have to be able to delegate and let those people within your organization feel, I mean, there's value whenever you are given a job and you're able to be trusted enough that, you know, as an AD, we want you to go out and share in that whole big responsibility. So many times at the beginning when I was just starting, I felt like I had to be everywhere. I try to be everywhere, but I didn't feel like anybody else could do it like I can do it. But I've learned to trust. I've learned to, there's so much power in working with other people, you know, for that one common goal. So that's the first. The second, it's how to explain it is you need to be present, not just every day at school. When I say present, I mean focusing on not just the task at hand, or I've got to, you know, get ready for this game, or I have to get this schedule done. Have an opportunity when your coaches come in that door and your directors come in that door and for your office that you are able to sit down and have that conversation and be real. So many times I think that because our job is so busy, it's almost like, I think, you know, I remember the conversation we had, but you know, it's such a blur because I have this to do and this to do. We need to be able to get to know our coaches. We need to be able to be supportive as a family. Because your school family, I mean, when you go home to your own family, that's super important to be able to be present there too. I can say at the very beginning, because my boys are 18 and 16 now, and my husband has been very supportive, but I know that there were often times that I wasn't able to be present because I was at a school function. So I have, as time has gone on, I've seen the importance of when I'm home, I'm present. I am in the moment with my kids. I'm not going to be preoccupied with whatever might be going on at school at that particular time. I try to be there. I wish I would have been more when they were little. And that's something that I think is very important. The school can go on without you, but your family, you know, that's where it's at. So, and then I think the last would be integrity. Always being able to do the best you can. So at the end of the day, you're going to know that you've always put the kids first, their safety first at school, that you're doing the best that you can to be able to help them grow as an individual, to be a good, productive citizen. Be quick just to listen and slow to answer. You know, if you have an upset person, an upset parent come in, let them talk to you. Don't feel like you have to have the answer every, you know, second or interrupting. Being a good listener and letting them get that off their chest, I think is super important. And I think that way, when people leave, they might be upset, but at the same sense, they might be able to leave thinking, I was heard, and we might have to agree to disagree, but at least, you know, I would hope that they would feel like I was treating whatever situation we might have to be in, if it was a difficult one, fair. So.
Well, that's some great stuff. I really love your last one. I loved them all, but you know, that last one, just listening, you know, it took me a long time to learn. You know, many times, you know, parents, there is no answer. They just need to vent. They just need to get something out. And if you can just listen and let them leave your office, well, okay, at least they listened to me. That's the win if you're looking for a win. So thanks so much for sharing. Marion, this has been great. Thank you so much for being a guest today on our podcast.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, hopefully our paths will cross down the road. I know we're not going to have a conference in Tampa this year, but maybe next year in Denver.
Very good.
As I mentioned, continued success in Missouri. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Come back again next time for another edition of the Educational AD. Thanks again for listening. Remember, the Zoom recording of this interview is available on YouTube under the Educational AD FIAAA YouTube channel.